Good day and welcome back to Overtime with Andy. This is our Where Are They Now segment. And we are with Dan Cote-Rosen. Is it Cote? I can
You
say
got it. That's
EX,
right.
I'll take you there, or even though you're in Edmonton and from Toronto. And
I took the accents off because nobody in Alberta understands how they work. So just
perfect,
that
perfect,
way.
perfect. And Dan is the vice president of marketing for the OEG Group, Oilers Entertainment Group. As you can see by his background, it's the Edmonton Oilers there. And welcome, Dan. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me, Andy. Great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to take 15 minutes here, just catch up with Dan, find out what's going on, and actually let's start with how you started at McGill. Bit of background, your football history going out of high school, or how did you get to McGill in terms of football?
Yeah, so I grew up in Mississauga. Played high school football at Lorne Park, which was a pretty good program back in the day when Mississauga was a lot smaller. And I was actually supposed to go to UBC in 1997, the year they won the Vanier Cup, actually. Had a change of heart to go back to my hometown where I was born of Montreal, and Coach Bailey was really gracious and willing to kind of let me come back that way, help me get into residence. I made it through to the end of training camp, but they're just, I guess it was a numbers game at the time, and they said, "Hey, listen, we'd love for you to come back in the spring." But there was two of us that were at the very end of camp. Just we weren't able to be part of the roster that year in '97.
Sorry, position?
Defensive back,
Gotcha.
defensive back. Life kind of took me in different ways. I enjoyed the other parts of university and, was having a lot of fun in the summers, bartending back home.
At
But
McGill or bartending back at home in Mississauga.
back in
Perfect.
Mississauga,
But you're still at McGill.
still at McGill, had
Right.
made such amazing friends in that first year of camp, guys that were playing, guys that I lived with. So I was fortunate enough to live with Mark Freer and Steve Caldwell for 4 years at McGill. And, just watching the journey they were going through with McGill football, it was eating at me. And I decided that, I didn't want my university story to not include the experience of playing McGill football. Um, so I talked to Coach Moravich, the defensive coordinator of the Redbirds at the time,
Yeah.
and um, he was like, "Yeah, if you think, after 3 years off, you think you still got it, then we'd welcome you to come and try out." And this is the 2000 season now, and
Wow.
so it had been a while, and I think there was some concern that it's a lot of time to have not been playing football, but um,
So just to situate us here, you're in like your third year at McGill,
this would have been my fourth year now.
fourth year at McGill. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going back to try out despite not having played
Yeah.
since past 3 years. Wow.
Yeah. And was fortunate enough, put in a lot of work with my roommates, my friends, obviously the gym, but was really fortunate to make that team and kind of I think in a lot of ways change the trajectory of my life without trying to be too dramatic.
No, fair, fair. I mean, that's a big decision to make to sort of put on the brakes and say that's what I want to do and I'm going to do it. So, okay, so you end up playing 1 year at McGill?
Yes.
Okay,
One
one
year
year
ago, yeah.
McGill.
Yeah.
And then, so where do you go after that? You go back home, and how does that work?
I was really unsure of what I wanted to do, kind of graduating from McGill. Um, I thought maybe while I was at McGill, in the off season, I was actually covering the hockey team for the McGill Tribune. So I thought, oh, maybe I'd like to become a
Love
sports
that.
writer.
Yeah.
This is just about the exact time that print media completely died in North America. So timing wasn't great, but I was fortunate enough to get a very junior role with Coors Light, Coors Canada, the brewery, in field marketing,
In
and
Toronto, in
in
Mississauga.
Toronto, back
Okay.
in Toronto.
Yeah.
And that's really what ignited my passion for marketing. I took a Bachelor of Arts at McGill, a couple of marketing classes here and there, but it wasn't a focus. I wasn't in the business school. Um, and it just I was able to, Coors Light was a brand at the time that just exploded in the early 2000s, really shifted the perception of it being like a lazy Sunday afternoon slow pitch beer to something that was, enjoyed by younger people, and got to see the impact of that marketing firsthand. It was a fun job being out in, nightclubs and bars every night. Not sustainable for life, but it started me on a path. So I worked in beverage alcohol marketing for 13 years in Toronto. National
Okay,
role, so starting to,
gotcha.
have a little bit more responsibility progressively. With different companies, different breweries. I went from Coors to Corby Distilleries to Mark Anthony, and then ultimately Miller Brewing. Just as Miller Brewing was being acquired by SAB Miller globally, sorry, by ABI, and it was at about that time in the spring of 2016, I was approached by the Edmonton Oilers here in Edmonton. And the timing was really fortuitous because I knew down the road there was going to be some challenges with the company I was working for being acquired.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you have contacts with them, or it's completely out of the blue?
Out of the blue, the contact I had was the recruiter that they were using to fill the role, which was director of marketing at the time. She and I had worked together at Coors in 2003. So 13 years earlier, we had worked together and we had very kind of casually kept in touch. But that was the connection. So everything in life does seem to be, related to connections or networks or,
For sure, yeah.
and this McGill alumni network is to me one of the most incredible ones, and those relationships seem to pop up all the time as well.
All right, just before we go move forward in time, my apologies. I glossed over the whole McGill thing. When you're at McGill, like favorite hangout, favorite memories, like let's just go back there for a minute or two.
Sure, sure. I mean, a lot of us we're fortunate enough to have part-time jobs at Gertz, and
Yes.
so it was a place where we'd like to enjoy ourselves as well. I
For
mean,
sure.
great campus bar.
And that's your course, maybe your background there for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely multiple passions
Helped.
were ignited at McGill, I would say.
Good call.
Uh,
Good term, yeah.
and I'd be remiss not to mention Val de Nuit on Prince Arthur.
Okay.
Just instead of sailing around. That was a big one for us. I believe it was two beers for $6, which would fit with our budgets really well back
Yeah.
then. So
A lot of
after Annie's
places
closed down.
really, eh? Perfect. Perfect. So and I guess those are your memories with the guys, and I mean you hung around with you mentioned you lived with a couple of guys that you played with.
Yeah.
So
Our
those are your
Yeah, we had a house on Lorne Avenue, 3532 Lorne. There was five of us, five bedrooms, one bathroom. For a football house, it's not a good ratio, especially when you're living with O linemen. But well,
okay. They would if they were here they would defend themselves, but
no, they
let's
wouldn't.
go on.
They wouldn't. I
Exactly.
won't mention any names.
Perfect.
But that house was really the hangout, and it was, my favorite memories are of, after games on Saturday nights and just having everybody come over and then everyone kind of go their separate ways or go out together. But
Shirts. Yeah.
yeah, the memories with those guys, my roommates especially, we've stayed really close. We've had a fantasy football league just finished our 22nd season. So it's a great way for us to continue to keep in touch. I was on a group text with a bunch of the guys this morning. We were chatting, and truly those friendships, more than anything else by far, are what I value the most and what I've taken away from my McGill experience.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I can relate
Yeah.
100% there. All right, so let's jump back to the future there.
Yes.
So you're brought on. You're the VP marketing now.
Yep.
That wasn't the first job the Oilers reached out to you for. Wasn't that job? Was it?
That's correct. It was a director of marketing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was able to do that role. So this would have been 2016, just as we moved into our new arena, Rogers Place. Connor McDavid had just finished his first season with the team. So there was really, some momentum happening in the marketplace. And I'm not the world's smartest guy. I'm not the world's best marketer, but I can see a good thing happening from pretty far away. And I thought this would be a good wagon to kind of hitch my horse to. So um, came out here and was in that director of marketing role right up until about 2021. But before that, obviously, the pandemic hit. And we didn't know when hockey was coming back. We were able to have the Western Conference play their bubble games here, that Hub City season, which was very strange. But then after that was done, there was a lot of uncertainty as to when hockey would begin again. So now we're kind of fall of 2020. I'm still in the director of marketing role with the Oilers, but essentially furloughed at the time. Not quite, but not working full time by any means. Just because there were so many questions, there wasn't really revenue coming in to the club. And I'm sitting at home scratching my head saying, A, how am I going to keep myself busy? And B, how am I going to pay my mortgage?
Yep.
And I was kind of looking at my bank account and I said, okay, well, I can just kind of wait for about 6 months and hope hockey comes back. Um, but a little impetuously, I guess I said, you know what, that's that's playing it safe, and I decided to take all that money and start a burger restaurant in my kitchen, which is something that I had no real experience with. I just knew you couldn't get a great burger in Edmonton, and I thought I could change that with really no idea how I was going to do that other than a few YouTube videos that I had
Okay,
watched.
okay. Let's drill down here a little bit. So you start a burger restaurant in your house, as you're saying.
Yeah.
My guess is you went to a location soon, or you
So the
didn't.
the first 2 months was really just out of my kitchen.
Literally,
Ruined my pipes, yes, with all the grease that was going down the drain. But
and you're just doing what, delivery?
I was literally just making these burgers, and either friends were coming to pick them up or I was delivering them to friends, people that had like relatively large social media followings. And I had created an Instagram account for Flatboy Burgers. That was the name of the business.
Flatboy, FLAT?
That's right.
Okay,
So they
okay,
were
okay. Yeah.
smash burgers.
Smash burgers. There you go. Yeah.
And then after about 6 weeks, people started messaging me that, strangers asking how they could get these burgers. Um, and it's funny, about 3 months in, I got my AHS, that's Alberta Health, essentially, Alberta Health Services. They are the ones that permit you to sell food in the province. I got my certification, my permits, and the next day found out that we were getting pulled back full time to Oilers because hockey was coming back. But
Minor
at that point,
technicality. Your real job is calling you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But at that point, I didn't want to give up on this little burger dream that I'd started. Found a commercial location that I could, use a flat top and have. The pandemic is still, roaring at this point. But found a place I could rent by the hour and hired a kid who had worked at some local burger restaurants. And we started doing Friday nights and Saturdays every weekend until all the beef was gone, until we were sold out. Um, and we did that for about a year as hockey was now back to full time. And things were going really well. In October of that year, 2021, I was promoted to vice president of marketing with the Oilers. So,
Okay, but before you move on there, so you open a restaurant Fridays and Saturday nights. Are there seats, people coming
no,
in to eat, or it's just so it's a location
only
where they come in
curbside
and grab
pickup.
the.
Just
Really?
because at that point it was so difficult to have indoor seating
Oh,
because of
right,
all the
right.
pandemic
Yeah.
rules. So it was a business really created around the limitations that COVID had kind of created.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but I was able to kind of figure out a plan to work around it, and there was nothing else like it really in Edmonton. So these burgers kind of took off, and the one part I knew I could do was the marketing and the branding. So really leaning into social media, a fun brand, a fun logo, and about a year. So now January 2022. I came to an agreement with a local brewer here in Edmonton. It's now the largest privately owned brewery in Alberta called Sea Change. And I sold 90% of Flatboy to them, knowing that, my responsibilities with the Oilers were continuing to grow. The
Sure.
team's back. We were on the precipice of, a few really successful years, which I hope continue.
Hmm.
Um, and Sea Change was going to be a great operator. I just said I'd rather have 10% of something than 100% of nothing and watch it die
Sure.
on the vine.
Because
And,
you
and
couldn't
just
take care of it. Yeah.
yeah, and thrilled to say now we have two brick and mortar locations in the city.
Wow.
Um, the business is doing amazingly well. We're opening a location in Calgary this summer. Uh,
Wow.
so
And
kind of cool.
sorry to interrupt again, but are those when you say brick and mortar locations with tables, people's being
Yes,
served? Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's no longer a takeout only, it's
Correct. We had a little
perfect.
stop midway point. We were inside a curling club, which is where we went between the pickup spot and our current locations. But it's grown slowly, but in a really healthy way. I think that's allowed us to kind of, continue to grow and build on a good platform. But
Sure.
yeah, it's kind of a fun little surprise midway through life.
Outstanding, outstanding. Okay, here I was thinking we'd be talking all hockey, and I couldn't wait to. Anyways, that's an outstanding story. So let's go back to the Edmonton Oilers
Yes,
side of things. You said in 2021, I think you're now VP
yes,
of marketing,
yes.
and you've been VP marketing since then.
That's correct.
Um, don't know your day-to-day stuff, but big picture, um, what are you in charge of in terms of marketing?
Well, I've got an incredible team that I work with here. Our marketing team is 31 people.
Hey.
So that includes game presentation, it includes retail. We have an entire creative studio in-house. All of our content and digital, so social, web, our writers, our reporters, our producers. And then we have a more traditional marketing unit within that team that handles media planning and buying, email communications, fan engagement, as well as all of the marketing for our Rogers Place live events and Ice District. We've got restaurants and businesses in the plaza and the Ice District as well. So it's pretty broad, pretty far-reaching, and it's the most incredible organization, the greatest city, the best job. You don't know what any day is going to look like, and there's lots of things you could kind of imagine, like, hey, or picking a goal song or designing a new uniform. But then there's lots of stuff that's, a little bit more brass tacks. And we do a lot of work to support our ticketing functions. The NHL is very much a gate-driven league. So ticketing revenue is extremely important for us. So we work really
Mhm.
closely with our friends in ticketing, whether that's on season seats, single game tickets, power packs, anything in between. And every day something will happen to me today that I was not expecting. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but that's what I really love about the job.
Outstanding. Okay, don't want to keep you too much longer. Give me a couple of not highlights, but marketing campaigns that stand out for you.
Phew. I mean, there's quite a few that one example I'll give you. And you being in Montreal, Andy, I'm sure you're familiar with the Canadians loyalty program. And that's kind of been a benchmark in our league for a long time. And they've had that program running for a long time. But there's this concept of loyalty 2.0 that kind of picked up some buzz in the marketing world a couple of years ago. And we thought it was the right time for us to create a loyalty program. And we spell it Loyalty. So that's my best accomplishment is coming up with that name. No.
Okay,
Uh,
gotcha.
and that's now the largest active loyalty fan program, rewards program in the National Hockey League. So that's something I'm extremely proud of. There's a million different little legacy pieces that I've been so fortunate to be involved with here at Rogers Place with the club. Things that hopefully will carry on a lot longer after I'm gone. I always say, with this role, I'm simply a steward. The Oilers brand is so iconic, and there was great people that built the brand up. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on things until it's passed on to the next person. So my biggest day to day, I think, is just not screwing things up, and
Yeah.
letting the focus be on the ice. And if I'm gonna talk about all this great stuff, I should also take responsibility for the fact that it was my decision to put the Blue Jays Game 7 World Series game on the scoreboard that some of our players didn't necessarily agree with, but the good
Hey,
thing about live sports is everything is happening in the moment. So you
you
live in
went
the
with your
moment.
heart there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay, well, just to wrap it up, you have family, kids, living in Edmonton. What's the scoop there?
Yeah, I've got a beautiful, supportive wife, Brienne, a good Alberta girl, and two stepchildren that I'm really fortunate, to be in their life. They're both incredible little hockey players. It's
Oh, so
just a great.
you do the hockey dad thing as well then.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
perfect.
So lots of hockey,
Gotcha.
professionally and on the family side as well. It's a city that I never thought that I'd see myself living in when I was living in downtown Toronto, working in the alcohol industry. But now it's a city that I could never see myself leaving, and it's just because of the great people here. But uh, like I wanted to kind of share that first part of my McGill story with you because to me that's really where I learned perseverance and just putting my mind to something, and that's what I think we're all so fortunate to have with this great McGill Redbird experience and network. And I don't think any of these other things that have happened in my life would have been possible without me being able to go through that, and the great friends and the incredible coaches and the mentors and the leadership that I saw, and just seeing my friends and teammates have gone on to such incredible careers across the world, really. So it's nice, really nice full circle moment for me today to be speaking with you.
Outstanding, Dan. Way to speak to the brotherhood, the friends of McGill football, and you played 1 year, yet those ties are incredible,
Yeah.
and the way it sort
Yeah.
of launched you. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Before we go, I just want to mention that there's, excuse me, rumors about a possible exhibition game in Toronto. So I know as you're from Toronto originally, we'll keep everyone abreast of that, and hopefully we can get a big gathering going with Friends of McGill football in Toronto if it happens next fall, the
That would be
preseason.
great. Yeah, there was a group of us that went to a McGill U of T game. I want to say 12 years ago,
Okay,
an exhibition game, and we had a blast. So hopefully that can happen
perfect.
again.
Wonderful. Dan, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy day. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. It was a pleasure.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Dan. Pleasure talking with you.